Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Chris, aka Big Will, and we're bringing to you episode 5 of this retro Manchester City save. We've got a game at home to Preston first and foremost, and then I will come back to you for a game later on against Chesterfield away, and we will also go through what has happened in the transfer window just before we kick off that second match. Form, as you can see, has been really good since the Bristol Rovers matches. We have stuttered a little bit in our last few games, losing in the FA Cup to Premier League side Sheffield Wednesday. We did play quite well, we were ahead actually in that game, but unfortunately we couldn't capitalise on any more chances. Reading and Wigan are both fighting it out in the playoffs, they're both playing very well at the moment. And as you can see from the league table, they are right in the mix for the playoffs. Fulham remain 8 points behind us with that little stuttering form. We have struggled a little bit. We could be an extra 4 points ahead, of course, but we've still got a nice little 8 point gap there. So hopefully we can maintain the fact that we've just got back to winning ways with a 4-1 win over Gillingham in the last game, and we can extend that gap if Fulham manage to break themselves down a bit. We've had a reasonably successful transfer window, but at the same time, we've unfortunately had to sell a few players, and unfortunately, they are some of the key players as well. Um, Teams from the Premier League have come in for them, they wanted to leave, so unfortunately, we have had to let them go. But it has given opportunities to some other players, and I will go into the transfers a little more after this game. So we've got Nicky Weaver in goal, Luke Young, who's actually coming on loan on the right hand side of the defence, with Jobson and Vikings at centre back and Mackin at left back. We've got Brown, Bishop, and Pollock as the midfield trio. Wright Phillips on the right hand side, Wayne Bridge, who's coming on loan from Southampton, and Sean Gota up front. Again, like I say, I am hoping that we'll be able to get another good result after that good win against Gillingham. With us being at home against Preston, I'm really hopeful that we can really push on. Our home form has remained very good so far. Um, Obviously, the hiccups in the last few games previous to the Gillingham match has been a little bit of a kick in the teeth, but we just need to get the focus back in the squad, and hopefully we'll get another good result against the team that we beat 4-0 in the reverse fixture. Here we go with our first highlight, with Michael Brown and Pollock exchanging passes, Jobson and Vikings exchanging passes at the back as well. And it's out wide to left back Mackin, and Wayne Bridge is wide left, and he's played it in looking for Sean Wright Phillips, but once again he can't win the ball in the air, but it is back out with Wayne Bridge, and he's done well to beat Holland here, and he's found Wright Phillips in the centre this time, but it's straight at Moylanen, and it remains 0-0. Jobson has got a throw on this right hand side with Sean Gota getting onto it there. He tried to play in Sean Wright Phillips, it didn't come off for him, and Vikings mops it up at the back. Preston have managed to win it back again though, but Wayne Bridge has done really well again on this left hand side, and he's laid it back to Mackin. Now Pollock back into Mackin. Now Gerard Vikings into Jobson. He has support ahead of him with Michael Brown and into Ian Bishop, and Sean Wright Phillips is cutting inside, and he's played it into Sean Gota, and I think it must have been a goalkeeping mistake there, because Gota didn't seem to put a lot of power into that effort. Les Moylanen thought it may have gone past the post. It's curled in right at the very last second, and Sean Gota has another goal to add to his tally, and it's 1-0 as Wayne Bridge strikes with a brilliant free kick there, and Moylanen with a very good save to keep it at 1-0. Jamie Pollock with the resulting corner will whip it in here, and Jobson's at the far post. It didn't quite get to him, but Jobson will run out and try and get to it. He is under pressure with two Preston players chasing him down, but he does manage to get hold of it. Very positive early on. We've absolutely dominated possession, around 70%, probably just a little bit more. And in terms of our attempts at goal, we're looking quite positive in this game as well. The game that we actually lost against Wigan, we dominated that game as well, but they had 3 chances for the most part and scored 3 goals. And we had a lot more chances than they did, but we just couldn't convert them. And it was quite a frustrating game to be a part of, that one. Excuse me, sorry, a bit dry in the throat still. So as we go into half time, it's a 1-0 lead. We're looking quite good at the moment, but we need to keep things tight, and we need to press to get that second goal. I don't think goal difference is going to be a problem. We just have to make sure that we keep winning our games to stay ahead comfortably of Fulham. As Bishop looks forward here, and Sean Goater almost managed to get in there ahead of Jackson, and Moylan makes the claim. His delivery is too long though, and it's come straight back to Gerard Vikins. Chris Mackin into Michael Brown now. We've not had any big bids in for Michael Brown, so he will remain at the club by the looks of it, unless we get any big offers in towards deadline day. Sean Wright-Phillips into Sean Goater. It's 2-0, and again, a very nice finish, reversing from the pass. I think offside has actually been given, so the goal has been disallowed right at the start of the second half. It remains 1-0, but we are looking quite sharp at this moment in time. Again, players are still struggling a little bit for fitness, and obviously with the fact that we've had to sell one or two players because they were unhappy at the club, we are having to be a little bit more active than I wanted to be in the transfer market, but at the same time, we've looked quite reasonable, and with the players that I've wanted to bring in, I don't want to necessarily bring in permanent players at the moment. It's just a case of filling those gaps until the end of the season, and then we can focus on bringing in the right players for next season if we're promoted. It's ended up out wide here with Sean Wright-Phillips, who plays it inside and switches it to Wayne Bridge, who's using his pace really well down this left-hand side. He's beaten the fullback and he's got support in the penalty area, but Wayne Bridge is still going, and he's produced a very good save from Moylan. Wayne Bridge is looking very, very sharp. He scored 2 goals on his debut against Gillingham in the previous game. And considering normally he was known as being a left-back, he's done really well on that left-wing position, and I'm really happy to have been able to bring him in. Here's Jobson now, back to Luke Young, Michael Brown, Gerard Vikins. He's got support on the left-hand side with Chris Mackin, and he plays it inside looking for Goater, but Jackson intercepts, and it's going to be cleared away. We are going to make a couple of substitutions. Like I say, fitness is a bit of a concern at the moment. Jamie Pollock is someone we're going to bring off for Gareth Farrelly, and Matt Haywood is going to come on for Sean Wright-Phillips, who is again struggling for fitness, but he's been playing every single game throughout the busy Christmas period, so hopefully he will be able to recover. I'm going to bring Jody Craddock on and move Vikins out to right back, I think. In fact, we'll put Chris Mackin out at right back, and we'll move Gerard Vikins into the midfield in the deep line playmaker role. We'll bring Michael Brown off and bring Ashley Cole on at left back, and it just freshens things up at the back, as well as allowing a slightly more creative player in that holding midfield. Even though he's a centre back, he's got very good distribution and passing, so hopefully he can create from that holding role. And Gerard Vikins immediately proving his tackle ability in that midfield there, and he's found Wayne Bridge with a brilliant pass, and it's just about cleared away. And now Nogan here for Preston North End. Plays it out wide here for Wright, who's in loads of space, and Wright has had a go, and Nicky Weaver has tipped it over the crossbar. It's a very good save to keep the score at 1-0. Again, I'm slightly disappointed we've not managed to get that second goal so far, as Williams looks to deliver the corner, and the header is over, luckily for us, and we hold on to that 1-goal advantage. Again, looking at the match stats, we've done really, really well in this game, but again, we've just not quite been clinical enough, and it is a little bit of a concern. Obviously, we have struggled a little bit for form in this last month or so. Ashley Cole with the header away there to Wayne Bridge. Now Ian Bishop loses out to Williams. Now Appleton plays it out wide to Frail. A little bit further back here, Frail, but potential opportunity for Preston to build something here, and Ashley Cole gets onto it and looks to clear. He plays it back to Nicky Weaver, who's got time, and finds Jody Craddock into Richard Jobson. Ian Bishop couldn't make his way onto the pass though. Gregan, Holland, Williams, and it's a huge error at the back, and Kurt Nogan has scored for Preston. It's 1-1, and we've really given them a huge opportunity there. We've let ourselves down. I'm going to bring Sean Goalter off. He has played well today, but he's just not looked at it since getting that goal, and immediately we're looking to try and get forward after conceding with Ian Bishop. Plays it wide right, and it's a very strange bit of movement from Haywood. He completely ran in the opposite direction there. Not sure what he was doing. John Mackin is on for Sean Goalter, and we're going to demand more. I feel like this is quite a poor performance. We should be winning our home games, especially considering how we've dominated the number of chances, but we've just not looked clinical enough again. And I think the fact that we've had to sell a few players, a few of our key players at that, is certainly starting to show here. I just hope it doesn't affect us long term. Farrelly inside to Ian Bishop. Now Gerard Vikings. Farrelly into Wayne Bridge. He has support ahead of him. This is Bishop. Plays it over the top. Couldn't find another City shirt. And it's ended up back with our defence. Well, we're right at the very end of the game here. It's going to be a last minute goal if we're going to get one, as Wright gets onto it for Preston. Haywood's managed to win it back, intercepting a pass. John McEnany's offside there, and that is that. I think it's a very disappointing result, really. Should have been a victory, but a 1-0 draw will have to do. And unfortunately, that is a step in the wrong direction, in my opinion. We should be winning our home games, and hopefully we can rectify this situation in our next game away at Chesterfield. Fulham do have a game in hand, which of course if they win they'll only be 6 points behind us, but our goal difference, we're in the plus with 80 goals, so that isn't going to be a problem. But we have to be really on point now. We can't really afford many slip-ups, and it's going to be a little bit of an issue if things happen in the future. So I'm just going to play through until we get to the Chesterfield game, and then hopefully I will be able to come to you with some transfer window news, and then we'll get the Chesterfield game underway. Okay then, here we go with the transfer window roundup for January. We'll start off with the outgoings first. As I mentioned in the previous video, we did in the end decide to sell Paul Dickov. We got an £80,000 offer. He was worth up to 100,000, but he wasn't playing a lot, so we decided to let him go for the 80,000. Kevin Horlock unfortunately expressed his desire to leave once Charlton came in for him, so we had to let him go for £250,000. Darren Ferguson only spent 6 months at the club. He wasn't playing regularly, and as such he wanted to play first team football. So we've made a £13,000 profit on the player. It's not a lot of money, but we didn't sign him for a lot either, so any profit is advantageous. Terry Dunfield was a player in our youth academy. Sunderland signed him on a pre-contract agreement. We decided to let him go. They gave us compensation of £100,000. Richard Jobson went on a free transfer to West Brom. I wasn't too fussed about him leaving for the most part. It was a good rotation option, but at the age of 35, he would have left at the end of the season anyway. And unfortunately, the biggest loss of this transfer window was Kakabe Tiskadads. He's had a phenomenal season. He scored 11 league goals for us, all from set pieces. But when Leicester came in, probably in early December, he wanted to leave the club. We didn't want to let him go at all, but eventually we agreed a fee with him that we would let him be sold for. Leicester didn't quite reach that, but he started to make noises that he really wanted to leave for Leicester, so we therefore let him go in a £400,000 deal. And in terms of incomings over January, we have been quite active in the end, especially on deadline day. So on the 1st of January, we had a pre-arranged transfer sorted from December. Jody Craddock came in from Sunderland and at centre-back. He's 23 years of age, he's got plenty of room to improve, and I think he'll certainly be a good player for us in the First Division. We then decided to get a few players in on loan just to cover positions that we might require that extra cover for, especially at fullback. So Ashley Cole, he's only 18 at this moment in time. He has come in on a loan deal until the end of the season from Arsenal. If things go well and we get promoted, he might be a player that could potentially sign for us permanently at the end of the season, but we'll wait and see what happens there. Luke Young is coming on loan from Tottenham Hotspur. He can play centre back or right back, so again, good little bit of versatility for us there. We've got that extra cover at fullback. Wayne Bridge, probably the best loan deal that we've made so far. His attributes are very good in terms of his physicals, and I'm really pleased with the way that he started the season on that left-hand side. We've decided that we brought him in to play in the attacking left midfield role, but he is capable of playing at left back as well, so we have got that extra cover there from him. And then transfer deadline day came round, and with the sale of Darren Ferguson and Kevin Horlock, I felt like we needed some extra cover in central midfield. Jason Kumas, a Welsh under-21 international at this time. He has come in from Tranmere Rovers on quite an expensive deal, but £825,000 for a player who I think could be of use to us when we eventually end up in the Premier League in 3, maybe 4 seasons' time. We then also decided to sign Clint Hill from Tranmere Rovers in a £500,000 deal. As you can see by his valuation, it's there or thereabouts what he's worth. And I think again, he will develop into a very good player with his potential ability up to a potential of 4.5 star. I think he will again be a very good signing for us, and hopefully he will develop into the player that he did in real life. He played in the Premier League for the likes of Crystal Palace and QPR, so we know that he has got that potential in him. And then we came across the kingpin of throwing, Rory Delap. His long throws are 19 in game. Personally, I think it should be a 20 because we all know how effective he was in the Premier League when he was at Stoke City, especially from their long throws. And I think having him at right back and look at the versatility, he's not particularly great in these other positions, but he's got such a range that he can develop into. And in terms of versatility, he will certainly be a player for us in the long term, unless, of course, he expresses a desire to leave. Overall, I think it's been quite a useful transfer window with the players that we've sold and the players that we've brought in. We've ended up with adequate cover across the pitch again. I think the loan deals will certainly work out well, and they will certainly see us through to the end of the season in terms of being able to just keep that cover there. And when it comes to next season, we'll look to sign hopefully one or two of the loan players permanently. But if not, then we can look at our other options in the process. So for the game against Chesterfield, we have got a little bit of rotation on the go. We're going to bring in Ashley Cole to start, I think. He's only come off the bench so far. So we're going to have Nicky Weaver in goal. Rory Delap is going to come in for his debut at right back, as is Clint Hill at centre back, with Morrison and Ashley Cole at left back. Veekins, Pollock and Brown are our midfield trio. Brown, by the way, did have a very late bid on deadline day, but the deal fell through. As such, he has requested to be removed from the transfer list, and we have now offered him a new 4-year contract, which he is set to sign in the next couple of in-game days, which would be a really big bonus, I think, because he could develop into the next club captain with his leadership qualities. We've got Heaney on the left-hand side, Wright Phillips on the right, and Sean Goater up front. I'm hoping to be a little bit more clinical with the fact that a number of the players have moved on that were unhappy at the club. I think team cohesion might have just improved again slightly, so hopefully we will have a little bit less to worry about in that regard, because with the effectiveness and the roles that the players had in the squad, so Kevin Hollett, for example, was our captain, and with the fact that he was unhappy, it was affecting other players in the squad. But hopefully we have rectified that with some of these sales, and the fact that the players we've brought in will start to play reasonably regular football. We should have a little bit of a better balance, hopefully, and we'll see how we get on. It's been a very quiet start to this match in particular, though. We're almost quarter of an hour in. We haven't had a single highlight. We've just had one come through now, and it looks set that it's a free kick here for Chesterfield with Williams to take. And it's a good strike, and Nicky Weaver did manage to cover that far post, but it did clip the bar on its way over. It's been a very slow start from both sides, really. Neither has really affected the game in terms of shots. We've had a lot more possession, which is very good to see, but again, we're not doing a lot with it. Fulham and Oldham are currently level at 1-1, which is a very important game for us, of course, with Fulham breathing down our necks at the top of the table. And that is a big error from Morrison. He's missed his header, and Williams from distance has smashed it off the crossbar once again. And Chesterfield are certainly getting the better of the chances in this match, which is a bit of a concern, and they have certainly been the better side so far. I'm going to demand more. I don't normally do it this early in the game, but we've been very, very poor. We're not creating a lot, and I know we've brought in quite a few new players, and it can take them a game or two to gel into the squad a little bit, but we need to be better than what we are playing at the moment. Clint Hill plays it across to Morrison. The fact that both centre-backs are on yellow cards is a bit of a concern as well. It might affect how many challenges we can put in that defence, and that is played out wide to Sean Wright Phillips, who finds Rory Delap here, who plays it into Sean Goater, and it's a first assist on his debut for Rory Delap. Brilliant header from Sean Goater. Personally, I think it's actually against the run of play. Chesterfield haven't had a shot on target, but they have been a little bit more aggressive going forward. But with the first shot on target of the game, Sean Goater puts it in, and we have a 1 goal lead. Like I say, slightly lucky in my opinion, but we'll take it. We need a little bit of luck at this point, just while these new players bed themselves in a little bit. And I think it's hopefully going to lead us to an important victory if we can hold on to it. Here is Mitchell down the left-hand side, plays it back to Pearce for Chesterfield. Now Brecklin in the centre, into Curtis. Clint Hill manages to clear. Pollock further on, couldn't quite find Goater, and the clearance is only as far as Clint Hill. Michael Brown out wide to Sean Wright Phillips. Again, plays it back to Clint Hill. We're moving the ball around really well once again. Vikings over the top from that deep line playmaker role into Heaney, and he smashes it past the goalkeeper. It's 2-0, and we're looking very positive now as we've just gone 6 or 7 minutes into the second half. It's a big, big goal for us, that. But this is how clinical we can be. 2 shots on target, 2 goals. And as I said that, we've had 3 shots on target and not scored it. So that's slightly annoying. But certainly a positive spin on things now. And we have got a nice little lead to hold on to. Looking at substitutions, I think Jamie Pollock is going to come off. We're going to give a debut to Jason Kumas. We're going to bring Jody Craddock on for Clint Hill, and we're going to bring Tony Vaughan on at centre-back. He's largely been covering at left-back, Tony Vaughan, but he is capable in that central defensive role. I don't want them on yellow cards. It's always a concern of mine. We're also going to bring Wayne Bridge on for Heaney, who's struggling for a bit of fitness as well. And I think we'll leave it at that for the time being. As we go into the last 20 minutes of the match, we are looking quite strong. We're going to bring John Macken on as well for Sean Wright Phillips. John Macken doesn't normally play on that right hand side, but just as an emergency cover for the last quarter of an hour here, I think he will do just fine. As Vikings nods it on. Good play there by Vaughan to win it the second time round. Holland wins it off Wayne Bridge. Here's Breckin. Looking over the top, Tony Vaughan wins the header. Vikings also wins the header. Michael Brown into Sean Goater. Now Jason Kumas plays it out wide left to Wayne Bridge here. And Wayne Bridge has support arriving in the penalty area. He's going alone, but he's found Sean Goater. It's 3-0. And Sean Goater continues his reasonable run of form as well with his 34th goal of the campaign. He's had a fantastic season so far, and he's certainly been spearheading the attack. And it certainly makes me feel like we need to keep him for the division above, with given the number of goals that he's actually scored at this level. And as we go into the last 5 minutes, Chesterfield with the ball here. Kumas wins the header though, and Wayne Bridge has got it wide left. He can't quite hold on to it, and the ball is cleared, but only as far as Tony Vaughan. Now Ashley Cole into Jason Kumas. Ashley Cole's made a good run, but he's found Wayne Bridge instead, and Wayne Bridge smashes home. There was a hint of offside there, but it looks like it could count, and it has. It's 4-0, and Wayne Bridge on his loan spell is certainly looking good. And unfortunately, in terms of his value at Southampton, he's worth between £4 and £6 million there or thereabouts. He would be a very expensive signing to try and make, but we know how good he does end up. And of course, in real life, he did turn into a Manchester City player at one point for a few years. So it would be a very good signing for us if we could make it happen in the future. And the keeper tries to clear it for Chesterfield, but this is Michael Brown now into John Macken. Back to Michael Brown. John Macken's been quite quiet since coming on, but he isn't in his natural position. Rory Delap here on the overlap, looking to try and move it inside, and finds Vikings. Now Michael Brown. Back to Vikings. Jason Kumas. Sean Goater. Wayne Bridge. Brilliant football again, and it's just over from Wayne Bridge. It skimmed the top of the net on its way over. And as the game comes to an end after the added time, it is a 4-0 win. A really, really positive result. Wayne Bridge again having a really good performance, this time off the bench. Kumas looked sharp as well with an assist, as did Rory Delap. So the new signings are looking very, very settled already. Great to see, and a solid 4-0 win. So I'll just have a quick look at the league table here. So we're 9 points clear still. Fulham still have that game in hand, so it is still very tight at the top of the table. I'll just have a look at the fixtures and see when we can come back, and we'll hopefully get a good couple of games in next time round. So let's have a look at the schedule here. So we've only got another 3 games in February, so I'll probably come back for, I'll say, Colchester and Luton at the end of March. Looking at the future fixtures, yeah, Fulham's a little bit close, so I would have liked to shown you that game, but it is a little bit close. So yeah, I think Colchester and Luton at the end of March will be a good point to come to, and then after that it could be any set of games over April and May, depending on how we're getting on in the league at that point. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Stay tuned next time for those next couple of games, and this is Big Will signing away.